The US President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelenskyy are back on speaking terms after a 1-hour phone call to discuss Russia's rejection of a 30-day ceasefire in the war in Ukraine. It is the leaders' first conversation since their fiery exchange inside the Oval Office in Washington last month. Our Europe Bureau Chief Zoe Ford joins us now. Zoe, good morning. Tell us about this phone call.
Good morning, James. Well, we've had statements from both sides, from the White House as well as the Ukrainians, about this phone call. The White House described it as fantastic. Volodymyr Zelenskyy's side described it as positive, very substantive and frank. Both statements have emphasised how thankful Volodymyr Zelenskyy was, and you might remember back to that fiery Oval Office shouting match, really, where Volodymyr Zelenskyy was repeatedly accused of not being thankful by the Vice President J.D. Vance. Both statements emphasised that the two countries would work together now and looking ahead to a full ceasefire deal, that they would commit to talks in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump gave Volodymyr Zelenskyy a full briefing about his phone call with Vladimir Putin, he said, and then Volodymyr Zelenskyy brought him up to speed on how things are going on the battleground. There were a couple of other interesting things there too. The Ukrainians asked the US for additional air defences, and Donald Trump said he'd look into what was available, particularly from Europe. So we might expect a request there. And then secondly, Donald Trump said that he discussed Ukrainian power plants and said the best protection for them could be American ownership. Also interesting, what was not in the statement, nothing about the minerals deal that's been much touted, much discussed between the US and Ukraine. And later, a White House spokesperson said that they'd moved past that. Whether it's off the table or not, though, is unclear.
And Zoe, European leaders have been looking on from the sidelines for some time now. It looks as though they've been shut out of these discussions again.
Yes, they haven't been a part of any of these phone calls or meetings that have been led by Donald Trump, James. But they are rallying around Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Ukraine. We've seen more of the European leaders out today, either in their own parliament, like the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, or we had the Finnish President welcoming Volodymyr Zelenskyy in Helsinki. So we've seen a lot of statements of support today. Then later today, local time, later Thursday, we're going to see the defence chiefs from all of these coalition of the willing nations come together to discuss this operational phase that Keir Starmer has mentioned and how they may help Ukraine into the future.